All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Astrid Bottom, and I'm going to take everyone through a process for building quotes, a little bit of research through the booking process. It's very high level, but what I've done for the purpose, mainly to help everyone have one sort of resource place to go to see everything in one place, and links out to different resources, so there's less having to hop around and find different things, and being able to leverage documents and tools that I've kind of built in the 2.5 years that I've been here. So my objective is to help you all, especially the new agents, be able to leverage some resources that have already been created. So there's less for you to, have to recreate the wheel and do yourselves. So, so it's kind of a twofold thing. It's running through a process. So I'm hoping the new agents will learn, and even experienced agents might get something out of this in terms of sort of a process of how things should flow, things to remember to do, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to share my screen and walk you through. Like I said, this is not a fancy slide presentation. This is more a process document, and I'm going to post this later on our team shared drive for you all to be able to leverage. All right. So, so I'm going to walk through this, and it starts from the point of when you get an inquiry from a client, and that could be either, they're going to mention it to you, or they may formally put in a request for quote on a form that you might have on your one of your websites. All right. And I'm going to open up these links that I've included here, so you can see what I'm referring to. So again, it's either they're going to come to you and say, hey, I'm interested in a trip to wherever, or they might fill out this form, which a lot of you, I'm sure, have already seen. This is a very common looking form that you can build yourselves through Google Forms, and there's instructions on how to do that in Infinity Way. It's either step 1 or 2. All right. So if your client has not completed this form, you can point them to completing it for you. And so this is just a sample of the types of questions. But what you'll see in my process document, if I can get back to it, because it's kind of hidden here. Hold on. Here we go. So whether or not they fill out this form, what I recommend doing is, as quickly as possible, get in touch with them. All right. You're going to want to get them on the phone. So, what I do is I print out the if they haven't completed the form, or if they have, I print out the form, or I print out a blank form, and then I walk them through the questions. All right. And part of that then is also asking them additional questions. So the reason to get them on the phone is not only to build that relationship and have that back and forth dialogue, but it's really the best way to sense where they are in this process, this booking process. Are they just sort of, really early and not super serious? Or do they really know what they're looking for, and how serious are they about booking? And that's all part of what we mean when we say qualify the client, because every travel agent goes through this. We get requests from prospective clients that are not all the way fully baked. They're not necessarily what we would consider a qualified client. So what I've provided here is another link to a document which has some questions or things you can probe into with your client to determine just how serious are they. All right. Things that you might ask are, have you used a travel agent before, and what prompted you to seek out a travel agent now? So you'll learn a lot by asking those questions. And then this gives you also an opportunity to explain just what it is. What is a travel agent? What kind of value will you, or in general, travel agents, what sort of value do they provide? So some may not understand really, what to expect, and may not realize that they're getting more from working with a travel agent than they do just by booking on their own. All right. So you'll explain, typical vacation research can take 10 hours or more. So there's there's a cost involved on their side if they're going to spend that on their own. How much value is it to them to outsource that type of research? So you're going to provide, you provide a service before, during, and after the booking, right? You're a one-stop shop, that they have your phone number. Pick up the phone, you're reachable by phone pretty much at any time almost, versus, if they book on Expedia, you can forget about it. You forget about getting through to that 800 number. You're there to consult. You can talk about, some agents provide X number of quotes, and after a certain amount, let's say 3 quotes, you might say then there's a fee. You're going to provide them with a customized detailed itinerary, follow-ups, and reminders for them when it gets closer to their vacation. You'll be providing them with local activities and suggestions on tours and whatnot that they can do, and also help them book those types of tours. All right. Like I said, one point of contact. We have relationships with our suppliers, so if there are issues, it's much easier for us to pick up the phone and get in contact with our resources at the suppliers that are going to help us, versus an independent client on their own is not going to have that type of relationship or support. All right. So so it helps to kind of help them understand what your value is. All right. And then if you're going to charge a fee, some agents do, some agents don't. But if you do, you explain that to them and see if that works for them. All right. Helps to know also, when are they planning to book their trip? All right. If they're planning something a few months down the road, this is not a qualified client necessarily, for you to be expending a lot of energy on putting quotes together for something they're not going to book until a few months out. All right. Because a lot of things could change for them in that time, right? They may decide not to go on this vacation at all. And pricing changes quite a bit, right? Just from day to day. So, it would be best to suggest, let's get back at another time when, it's closer to when you're going to be ready to book. All right. Let's see. So here, and these are not things you would necessarily say to the client, but just, so you understand the mentality here is, if they're just looking for rough pricing to get a feel, they really don't need to use us and our valuable time to get rough pricing. They can do their own little internet searching on their own. That's not our role. All right. We're not a substitute for doing online price inquiries, right? If they're not serious about using a travel agent. All right. That's not good use of our time. All right. And all right. And then a good way to kind of end up your probing with them is to, just point out, ask them, if I can find you exactly what you're looking for within the price that you're expecting, do we have a deal? Will you be booking with me? All right. Get them to commit. All right. So, all right. So that's a little bit of the qualifying of a client. Once you have a serious client, then you're gonna want to move forward. All right. So again, back to the quote form, you're going to be asking them additional questions when you have them on the form and on the phone, in terms of a little bit more specific. So this would be way too much to put on that original request for quote form that I showed you. This is why you want to have them on the phone, to have a back and forth dialogue in terms of the type of resort that they're looking for. They're looking for a party atmosphere. Are they looking for something calm? What type of amenities do they like? What type of activities do they like to do? This might be a little bit of a discussion, right? Are they, hikers? Do they just want to sit and relax by the pool? Do they like to go out and tour? Is there a special celebration? Are they looking for adults only or a family style? It's also important to understand how important food is to them, the quality of food, types of food, because that'll just determine the type of resort you're looking for as well. All right. Try to pull out from them things that they must have or absolutely do not want on this at the hotel or on the vacation in general. All right. Talk a little bit about if there's children involved, get the particulars on their ages, because that plays into how the pricing works, because the resorts want to know the ages of the children. All right. You're also going to want to drill into if they have preferences on airlines and if they belong to any mileage programs. Same with hotels. They might have loyalty programs with hotels. Okay. Then you're going to want to also talk about flight schedules. All right. Do they want direct flights, or are they okay with one stop? As well as the time of day. Some people are not early risers, right? Like me, for instance, I will not take a 6 a.m. flight. All right. I prefer something more mid-morning, right? That's something else you're going to want to ask them about. All right. And then if it's a tropical type vacation, see if they already have any specific islands in mind, or ones they've been to, ones that they don't want to go to, or they've had a good or bad experience at. Probe a little bit into that. All right. And then sometimes you might want to, if they may bring up a cruise, or based on some of the feedback you're getting from them, you may want to suggest that they consider a cruise. So in that case, I have another questionnaire that you can run through some of the questions for them, with them as well, that are geared towards a cruise type vacation, right? Finding out if maybe they've cruised before. If so, do they have a preferred cruise line? Get their loyalty information, military. What else? Oh, the types of cabins, pre and post night, trip insurance, etc. So a little bit there on the whole cruise. So you're going to, diverge a little bit into the cruise area. So then passports, right? What you want to find out, that's going to determine where you can send them. All right. All right. So then budget, right? That's an an area. Sometimes the client may or may not know, and ideally, we don't use the term budget. I like to ask, as I've pointed here, you know, a range that they're comfortable spending. All right. Some might say, and I just had a client this week, she wants to go to Ireland, but has absolutely no idea. Her answer was, I don't know how much a vacation like this even costs, so I have no idea. So some things you can ask them then are, you know, price per person. Are we talking in the $1,500 range, maybe $1,500 to $7,500, or $7,500 and above? Then you know, you can help them pinpoint, help them a little bit. Another way is to ask, when you stay at a hotel, which type do you usually book? Do you book 3-star, 4-star, 5-star? That helps you also know what type of hotels to pick. All right. And then back to the qualifying again is about, when do you plan to book? And what specific criteria are you looking for? Which absolute boxes need to be checked? So that if everything, if all the boxes are checked, they're gonna want to book the trip. Okay. All right. So then when you have all that, now you begin the research phase, right? You're going to conduct your research based on all this information that you've gathered, that we just talked about. Sometimes you may, you know, so let's say in the case of my client going to Ireland, I have never been to Ireland, nor have I had a client yet that's that I've booked for Ireland. So I had to quickly dive in and learn as much as I could about Ireland. So that's what I did last night, as I spent about 3 hours getting certified on Ireland. I've done this countless times, you know, on Jamaica or the Virgin Islands, whatever. I want to get as educated as I can before I start, you know, really digging in. So take advantage of your resources, right? So we have here, and I've got a link. There's a link in Infinity Way, or there's a section in Infinity Way that lists the various certifications. So you know, just pick the ones that same thing. Iceland, I had to do that one. All right. So I recommend doing that. All right. Next, a good resource is to check TripAdvisor. All right. And this is in terms of finding resorts or hotels in wherever the destination is that you're going to be working on. All right. I generally suggest to choose anything rated 4.5 and above. That's just what I feel comfortable with. I don't want to send any client to anything that where, you know, the ratings aren't ideal. So I consider that a very safe rating to consider. So on TripAdvisor, you can not only check just the rankings or ratings, but you can also check pricing on TripAdvisor. All right. And then you might also, depending on what success you're having on TripAdvisor or whatever, but you know, you're going to naturally, I suggest you're going to want to Google, use Google to find out whatever. You might want to find best resort in Jamaica or best resorts in St. Lucia. Just see what Google finds for you. All right. All right. And then you're going to want to, based on what you find, then you're going to want to cross-check and then check our preferred suppliers. I'm assuming everyone knows what those are, you know, example, Vax, Vacation Express, Pleasant Holidays, RoomRes, if it's resort only, Expedia Tap as last resort. All right. If you're new and you don't quite understand yet how to pick which vendor over another, I have a link here to a training which goes over how to distinguish between the suppliers. All right, that's what that is. I'm not going to play that for us now because that'll be too long. All right. All right. So then you're going to want to compare the pricing that you find on TripAdvisor or Expedia. You want to see what the client is going to potentially, if they're going to research on their own, what kind of pricing are they going to find? All right. You want to compare that to what you're finding from our preferred supplier resources. All right. Okay. So if necessary, don't be concerned if you're finding an lower pricing on Expedia or TripAdvisor or Booking.com or wherever you might happen to find. Don't be concerned about that. Keep in mind that our suppliers, especially on VAX, we can price match, and this is to your advantage because our commission is higher using using VAX, for instance, versus I know a lot of new agents like to gravitate towards Expedia Tap for whatever reason. Maybe it's because you're finding the pricing looks better. It may not always be an apples to apples. Keep that in mind too. You've got to make sure the flights are exactly the same, the room type is exactly the same, et cetera, et cetera. And when you've pretty much come up with that apples to apples, there's a whole process on how to price match in VAX. And this is a link to a video that Amy Cabrera has done on how to do that. All right. Okay, so then while you're going through this whole research phase, it's helpful to stay in contact with your client and feel them out a little bit. Send them a text or an email with some sort of some pictures and maybe a price range of what you're finding, just to kind of feel them out, see if you're going in the right direction. What do they like, what they don't like? All right, this will help guide you before you start putting in the full effort of an exact quote. All right. And so then once you get that feedback that you're, on the right track, you can start the process of building a quote. All right. Now, this is where, again, I highly suggest you always get the client on the phone for when you're delivering this quote. All right. So you're going to, through this back and forth texting or whatever, you're going to establish a date and time to get on the phone with them. All right. And what I'm putting here is just a little particular reminder. Anytime you're on the phone with your client for the purpose of data gathering, or when you're giving them, providing the quotation, you always want to have a goal in mind. Either you're going to close that booking right then and there on the phone with them, or you need to set up the next appointment. Don't leave the phone call without having one of those two done. All right. If you just leave it up in the air, it's too easy for that client to slip away if there isn't another follow-up phone call that's been agreed upon. Okay. All right. So what I'm outlining here are two different approaches to providing quotes. All right. And I'm going to show you a little template that I started out using when I was a newer agent, but I just want to give you a little note that in the past, oh my gosh, probably the past year, I've migrated over to using Travefy. All right. It's just, you'll find as you get more experienced, that the manual quote process is a bit time consuming. And so once you start, getting clients and some income, you might want to consider paying for this type of service. It is a huge time saver. Anyway, so I have a link to it if you want to check it out. And if there's interest, I'm happy to go over a little training on Travefy, but I'm going to skip that now because that's a whole nother training. Okay.
Sorry, Astrid. Do you
Yeah.
mind me asking a question before you go further? When you
Okay.
said at the beginning about getting the client on the phone, so what I've usually done up to now is I send over the quote and then, well, I let them like read it calmly and then try to get them on the phone. Or do you arrange that differently? Do you recommend maybe before sending the quote, getting them on the phone and letting them know like, hey, let's go through this together. Like I'm
Yeah.
sending you the quote right now. Let's look at it together.
Perfect. So that's exactly where I'm going next. And you're exactly right. So in my first option here of building a formal quote, which I will then email to the client. Again, I suggest reviewing it with them live. I email the quote based on the appointment that we've set up, and then but I do that 5 minutes before I'm on the phone with that client. So let's say I set up a meeting for today at 4 p.m. where we know we're going to meet at 4 p.m. At 3:55, I hit the button to send that quote. I don't want to give them too much time on their own to look it over. I want to review it with them because I just feel that's how I stay in control. All right. And there's less chance of them slipping away. All right. So that's how I do it. I don't know if I answered that question, but.
Yes, absolutely. I do feel that it is better to maybe get on the phone with them because maybe they can look at it and forget about it or start checking elsewhere. It's just better to guide them. And right off the bat, if they're like a legitimate client that they really want to go for this, or if they're just shopping around, then you don't not to waste any more time with it.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. You can really feel them out that way. And so, so let me just show you my template. Hold on. Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to say here first. Okay. So here's a template that I'm going to give you access to. Like I said, this is the format I used early on when I started. Logo, a little summary here at the top, and then a paragraph that introduces what the quote includes. All right. The resort, the flights, the trip insurance, round trip transfers, taxes and fees. All right. Then I get into the flights. And then also take note, I always have this footer on every page so that they know the pricing is not firm and it's subject to change, right? Until a deposit is made. All right. So the flights, the transfers, information about the resort. And here's something I want to make clear. Notice how I'm only showing them a total. All right. I'm not breaking down the cost for the resort, cost for the flights if they were priced out separate. I'm not pricing out how much the trip insurance is, the transfers, any tours. I'm presenting one total bundled price. All right. The reason for this is you will have a higher chance of closing these deals when you give less information. The more information or more details you provide a client, the more they're able to pick at it. And the more they're able to take that and then go off on their own and check every little thing, right? We're providing a package deal, all right? So this way I get less questions, if at all, any questions, all right? So, all right, so moving on. So that, and then I attached some photos, and then I got into a little more information about the resort, et cetera, et cetera. All right, what it included. And then at the bottom, I added information about the trip protection. And that's really it. Okay, so this is like I said, a manual quote. And for those who this might help, you'll have a link to that. All right, but like I said, now I'm using Travefy, and trust me, when you maybe some of you are already using it, but you'll be blown away of how easy and beautiful those come out. All right, but yeah, so like I was saying, present one bundled price, all right, and indicate what that price includes, et cetera, et cetera. The resort, trip, transfers, trip protection, et cetera. All right, and I'm repeating it here. Have a goal, again, for that phone conversation. Your goal should be either to get them to say, yes, I want to book. And if for whatever reason that isn't the case, then you want to set up another appointment. All right. Another approach. So, when I started, this was more comfortable for me to have that formal quotation. Then later on, that there's a lot of work involved doing that. Later on, and this will happen for all of you as well, you'll get much more comfortable with the whole quote process. You can make it a little less formal, all right? And again, have an appointment with the client, be on the phone with them and talk through what you found for them in terms of a resort, and just send them over photos via text while you're on the phone. Have them look like, well, here's a picture of the resort, et cetera, and just get their feedback based on what you found. And there are clients that'll be enough. All right, you tell them the price, you show them the pictures, and they're like, yeah, good, let's do it. All right. So again, same thing. Try to close that booking right then and there, or set up another appointment. Okay. Now, in terms of when you're working with VACs, you may want to have these bookings placed on hold for you while you're working with the client. VACs will, in certain cases, depending on how far out the trip is, they'll let you place a hold for 1 to 3 days usually. All right. The great thing that I like about RoomRez, and that's really hotel only, without flights. All right. They'll let you hold the resort or the hotel for 7 days. You don't have to enter, credit card, really anything. Just put their name in there, and it's a really nice way to kind of feel confident that at least you're holding something for them while you're either doing more research or they might need a little time to decide. Okay. All right. Now, so if you're working with VACs, for instance, once you put any sort of deposit down, at least that will hold the price. While you have something on hold without a credit card, that the pricing is subject to change. Just be aware of that. Okay. All right. Then obviously, we're hoping you are going to get to the point of closing closing the booking. All right. I put a link here to a video which helped me tremendously when I was starting. It was about how to close a travel booking. If we all know Nikki Lee, to me, she was such an inspiration. And I listened to this video, I don't know how many times, maybe 10 times. Because it's really, really helpful. And it kind of reinforces some of the things I'm talking to you about. All right. Other ways that help with enticing the client to move forward is, we have access to various resources, such as resort credits. You may notice on Vax in particular and Vacation Express, some of the properties offer resort credits, $200, $400, whatever. Those are unique to us as travel agents. So I like to hold those in my back pocket as sort of a negotiation. All right. I don't put them up front. All right. They might help you, give them a little, it gives you a little leverage. When it comes to cruises, you might have an extra cruise credit onboard credit you can offer them. The incentive voucher program through Marnie Hernandez, fabulous way to offer extra incentives to get clients to book. Or you might just, as the last final thing, say, how about if I give you a $10 gift card, something like that. All right. So be creative. All right. So now, hopefully we're to the point of the booking. All right. The process, hopefully everyone understands by now. If not, we'll go through it here a little bit, right? You're going to need to get the client's credit card information over the phone. Don't let them text or email it to you for security reasons. All right. You need to also send them the credit card authorization form. And I think this points to, this is the Archer. This is the Archer form that you can use, or you can build your own. All right. Here again, I use Travefy actually for this. That's another reason I love that service. It's an electronic way to build a form that you send over to them. They fill it out and they hit submit and it comes right back to you. All right. And I have verified with Archer on whether this format is accepted, and absolutely yes, this type of electronic signature is accepted by Archer. All right. It's really important. Let me also mention this little side note. It's very, very important to follow this process with your client. All right. If you do not follow this credit card authorization process as outlined by Archer, if anything should ever happen with your booking and there's a problem where, E&O insurance needs to be leveraged, God forbid, you are in jeopardy of not being entitled to be covered by that E&O insurance if you do not follow the credit card authorization process and you don't have all your ducks in a row. All right, so definitely keep that in mind and follow the process. All right. Okay, so as terms of processing the booking, obviously you're going to get your clients' names, make sure they are exactly as they appear on the passport or driver's license, depending on where they're traveling to. I suggest, and as well as many of our trainings suggest, where it asks in the booking for email address, I always use my own address because I want to control the information that's coming from the supplier. If for any reason there's something that's not quite right, this way I can catch it before it goes to them, right? But you can put the client's phone number in, that's fine. Email address, I think should be yours. All right, so then you have the opportunity, once it's emailed over to you, to check over that booking for accuracy. All right, complete the booking. Okay, after you complete the booking, you're going to get the confirmation. We just talked about that. It's kind of repetitive. All right. So then send the client the confirmation within 48 hours. There's training on how to brand that yourself, put it on your own template, right, with your logo and whatnot, rather than it saying FunJet or whatever, right? So send that over, and then within that, when you're sending that back over to them, that's a great time to add on and suggest any additional tours and activities, like from Viator or wherever. RoomRes does activities now too. Same as Beds Online, wherever. All right. And you might also take the time after, at this point, ask the client for any reviews and point to your social media sites for them to easily access that and give you a review. All right. Commission tracking form. Enter, if there's any raffles going on, like our team does right now, remember to enter yourself in there. Post reminders for yourself on your calendar that has to do with payment dates, any kind of gifts you might want to give out, any kind of reminders prior to the client traveling, put them in your calendar so they pop up and they remind you. All right. Follow up with the client after they return from the trip, ask for feedback. And actually, you know what, I can update this. I have a form that I send to my clients, and I'll provide a link, all right, to that form. And in there, it actually has hyperlinks for them to go to my Facebook and my Google page, and there's a third one, Travel Leaders, I think. So they could pick one or all of those to post a review. All right. Track your commission, keep in mind on the 60th day, if you haven't seen commission come in, that's when you put in for where's my commission form, and you may have to just check the vendor or supplier site. It should be posted in your booking whether the commission has been paid. And if it has, that's the information you should then pass on to Archer and let them know that it's been paid, and that'll help them track it down. All right, and so I've also provided here a checklist on a lot of the what I just went over, and in even more detail. So this you can, I print this out and I have it in a folder for every booking that I work on with a client, and it just reminds me to do all these things. All right. Everything we pretty much talked about. Okay. Okay. And then finally, I'm just listing here some videos. Sarah Rogers, I just, I love her How to Talk to Clients, and I got a travel request. Now what? All right. Spend some time with those. It's going to help you with a lot of the above that I that I listed here. Okay, and then again the Nikki Lee video. But that's really it at a very, very high level, without drilling down too much, because there's a lot of variations, and you can take this and tweak it, make it work for you. But like I said, the area that you can't really tweak is the credit card authorization process. We need to stick to that. All right, so now we have about 15 minutes left. If there's any questions about anything I went over.
Astrid, when you were mentioning before, I know about like keeping track of your own commissions and that, but I was wondering, when we receive that 10% when you're in mentorship, is
Uh-huh.
that received the same way as a regular commission, like in the Kimball card, or is the process different? Or is that in the e-wallet in Revolution? I don't know how that
Okay,
works.
yeah, no, it's going to show up on your Kimbo card. Through, yeah. That's how you'll see it. Okay, and then what you can do, just like with your regular commission, it depends if it's a day or a few days after the commission shows up. You can check your paid commission report in the back office, and it'll list those commissions. It'll say 10%, and so you'll know that that's from one of your agents.
Okay, perfect.
Okay,
And I was
yeah.
wondering with someone that just posted a question as well,
Mm.
because I have heard different stories, not sure what's the updated information regarding cruises. Do we still have to send the email to all cruises when we book the cruise? I've heard some people say that that was during pandemic. I'm not sure if it still
Right.
applies right now.
Yeah, I saw that also, that may no longer apply, but I'm still doing it and I haven't gotten any kind of message back that it's no longer required, but yeah,
Okay, so we should be maybe doing it until we get
I
maybe an
think
update.
just to be safe. Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm,
perfect. Oh man,
mhm.
then I have to do
Because
that.
I think it's more than the pandemic. It has to do with it. For whatever reason, if there's some sort of communication that comes in from the cruise line, this is how they know how to get to us, is my understanding.
Do you usually receive a reply? I've done that. I did it once, but I've
No.
never received any type of reply from that type of
No.
email.
Mm-mm,
Okay,
mm-mm. Yeah, no reply. Okay.
What are
All
we
I know
supposed
is
to?
it used to go direct to Peggy, I believe. And then it wasn't too long ago where she replied and said, from now on, please send it to this special, whatever it was, the,
oh, okay, so only to the all cruises one.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
the
yeah.
first one, the
Mhm.
first time I sent it, I wasn't sure, and I was like, let's just be safe and send it to both. I sent it to Peggy and the all
Oh,
cruises,
okay. Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah,
Peggy
yeah.
didn't respond, like didn't reply telling me it was only to the all cruises.
Yeah.
But
That's what
okay,
she told
I'll
me.
do that from now on. Thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Better safe
Yeah,
than sorry.
what are
Yeah.
we supposed to email to the all cruises? Just the confirmation information?
Yeah, just high level, the booking number, the names of the clients, the dates they're traveling, the cruise ship they're on. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I didn't
Mm.
know I was supposed to do that. I'll do that today.
Okay. Yep. Anything else?
How much is it right now for that Travelify? I know, like, I know there's some people choose between the Travel Joy or Travelify. I do hear all the time about the amount of time and work you can save. So I'm kind of desperate to have a little bit more of the commissions come in to get that started. I've heard it was like around 39 a month. Is that correct?
Oh my gosh.
I just looked at it and it is, I believe 31 if you pay for the entire year and 39 if you do it month to month.
Yes.
Thanks, Greg. Okay.
Yes.
And then
I would-
Astrid, you've only had experience with Travelify. Have you ever tried with Travel Joy?
Okay, so I've only used Travify. I looked into Travel Joy recently, and I want to explain something. I did a lot of research on this. They are not an apples to apples solution. Travify is what's considered a itinerary builder. That's how they label themselves. And if you do research, that's how they're categorized, as an itinerary builder. Travel Joy is not really an itinerary builder. I almost feel like you need both. If Travel Joy is what they call a CRM. It's more, what does CRM stand for? Something, oh gosh, customer relationship management.
Yeah,
software?
or customer retention.
Yeah. So that's the focus. either one is missing a lot of good features from the other. So it's not like you can replace one with the other. I'm
That's kind of
finding.
crazy. They should just go ahead and fuse.
Yeah, I
Someone should
know,
tell
I
them
know,
that.
I know. Yeah, and that's what I was reading out there too. A lot of people were saying that they wish the two would meld together, but they're not apples to apples. So that's why I'm still with Travefy. I did switch from now. They just had, like, that's what I signed up for last year. They had a great Black Friday deal. They may still have it going on to purchase an annual subscription with them. It was very inexpensive. And that's what I had, but now I just switched back to the monthly. So you might look at it and see if you can get a good deal.
I'm sure there are products out there that combine both of them, but they're not $31 a month. They might be like $300 a month or something, but
Yeah.
yeah, I've dealt with them for like bigger companies, but they're massively expensive.
Right. And
Yeah.
they're built like for big organizations.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it might just be cheaper to work with both. And that's it.
That's
True.
where I may eventually wind up. Yeah.
Through the examples you were just giving, your quotes that you had originally, do you have that ability to share that document?
Yes.
Or was that linked within there and I just missed it?
Yeah, it's linked in there, so you'll get it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those forms and stuff were massively helpful. I've got my first one, but I'm still, that fell in my lap, just just somebody that I knew that was ready to book. But
Great.
right now I'm trying to navigate the whole how to get leads section right now. I'm about 3 weeks in, 2 if you count Thanksgiving, but so that's kind of where I sit. So this was massively helpful in that situation. But any advice anybody has on how to get clients or how to find them would be super helpful.
There's so many, that's like a whole nother training.
Yeah.
So on Infinity Way, there's a video specifically called How to Get Clients. You may have missed it or don't remember it. I'd go back and watch that one. It's all about, the mock bookings and sharing into groups, right? Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I'm on it. I haven't,
Okay.
maybe it's within a step or something that I'm missing.
Yeah, let me find it here for you.
One of them was just basically just join every Facebook group in existence and start doing that. But I'm like, there's got to be something beyond that.
Like I said, it's all about marketing, and it's picking whichever marketing method you want to concentrate on.
Mhm.
But the one that is stressed here, because it's been proven to work, is here. This is the video. You might want to rewatch
I
this.
get clients on second step.
How to get
Okay.
Okay. And it's Jody, she's massively successful. All right. And this is what she does. And it's about the mock bookings, putting them on Facebook, sharing them into groups routinely every day, 3 times a day.
What's worked for you?
That's what works for me.
Yeah.
That's what,
Yeah, apparently if you follow that like to the T,
Mhm.
maybe it can get maybe hard to get used to at the beginning. That I know that's where I am, that sometimes you can post in a lot of groups, but a lot of groups don't post right away. It's pending approval, so
Mhm.
you don't get it out there all the time.
Mhm.
I would say try to get a combination of medias, right? Because sometimes getting your social media up there and getting the attention that it needs, it can take a little bit more time, and you have to be patient and you have to be consistent, right? But also while you're working on that, I would say also try to start doing the business cards, try to focus in your local area, try to do the flyers, try to just talk to people. So it could get out there by word of mouth. So you're not sticking only to social media, you're doing a little bit of everything, because you can't expect in social media to be booming from one night to another. It's a process. It can take time, especially if you're consistent, you can get there, but you definitely have to keep working at it.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, back to your question, what worked for me? That worked for me just exactly how Izzy's explaining it. So get that going. And I was amazed in the beginning how many requests I got from that. But at the same time, I was meeting with my network of people, just going out to lunch with old friends from my old career. Just innocently, that turned into bookings. You know, it wasn't my plan. You know, they're just people, it's nature to ask what you're doing, right? So that worked. And then setting up my Google My Business page for the local presence on Google, right? When they search for a travel agent in your area, I got quite a number out of that. But I didn't set that up, gosh, probably until 6 months to a year later. So like, yeah, so it's kind of like in phases. Get one going, and then once that's going, start on something else. It's a little overwhelming to do too much at once, right?
Yeah, for sure. How long, when y'all started, did it take for you to start seeing results, or, you know, feeling like it was coming together?
Couple months.
Yeah, maybe I'm just not patient.
Couple months.
And I know around this time of year too, there's everybody's bombarded with information and deals and specials, so that might add another little bit to the timeline.
It'll happen. Don't worry. Yeah. It's natural to feel impatient. We all want, it's our nature to want immediate gratification, right? So. All right. Well, we've got a minute left. That's it. One more question, or we can call it a day.
Yeah, so how can we, I know some people were asking on the chat, and
Oh,
of
I'm
how we
sorry.
can get
Who's
the
got
link.
questions?
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
I'll be the voicer. I talk too much
Yeah.
anyway. I intervene too much. About the link. Some people are wondering of how we can get access to that information, everything that you were showing on the Google Drive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll email it out to everybody. Yep. Okay. Yeah, and I'm sorry I missed these questions. Google folder, I've emailed it, but I'll email it again.
You need our email addresses, or?
No, I have it.
Okay.
It's through our system. Okay.
Oh my goodness, never mind. Yes, if you got the email with this training in, yes, I just saw that you did send the link in that initial email. So thank you. Yes, yes, it's
Yeah,
definitely
it's
there.
there. It's there, but I'll send it again. Okay, I'm just looking at. Okay, I think we caught most of the comments and questions here. Well, I thank you all for joining. All right. And I'll put the link in again. This came about from feedback on the suggestions for training, right? There was a good number of you who wanted something like this. So that's why I put this together. So keep coming with your suggestions, and we'll do this again. All right.
Thanks for your time and your information. It was
You're
helpful.
welcome. All right. All right, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.